Good morning. Hey, Kelvin, how's it going? Sad world, I'm glad you made it this morning. That is awesome. You are currently listening to Herknunger, Eltingi. Don't know how to pronounce that right. This is a lot of the music I use quite often for kind of getting ready and stuff, and it's very helpful to me in a lot of ritualistic stuff. He doesn't charge or has no copyright claims or strikes, so that's very helpful, obviously. However, I do want to make sure that if anybody has the ability to and you like the music, you should go support Herknunger on YouTube, because I periodically spend a little money, send a little his way, because I do use his stuff and it's really good. I really enjoy it. It is definitely Nordic. He does a little bit of Nordic, or a lot of Nordic, some kind of what's the word? Darker stuff. Lots of different kinds of drumming and things like that. So this is a Nordic one. There's a couple of Nordic albums and playlists that he has out that are really good. It's very nice. Rook will not be with us today, at least not initially. He may be able to make it before we're done, but he's getting a haircut. This is not our normal weekend to do. We do the first and third, but we missed last week, and so we're off a week every time, so we're trying to get back on the right track. So, figured we'd go ahead and do one today. Absolutely can see that, sad world. I do too. I think it's the guttural aspect of it, the deep drum, the kind of like pound, the stance, the pace of it is really important, and it draws you to it. And good morning, Aaron. How's it going? We'll get our video going here in just a minute. Kind of doing a couple of things. We're getting things set up. Well, I say we because it's usually we, but it's just me today. Rook is getting a haircut. I don't know if he's going to be listening in, but he should. So pagan music and pagan metal. I wouldn't say that I am a huge fan of pagan metal, but there's a lot of it that I do like. There is a lot of it I do like. And yes, coffee flow is important. I'm on my second Monster and had a cup of coffee already. Gotta turn it down just a little bit in my ear. But we're going to get started here in just a minuto. Like I said, Rook's not with me this time. He's getting a haircut, but hopefully we'll stop in at some point. Hey, Dragon Dancer. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm doing today, we're not in our normal setting either. I'm just at my desktop because it was easier. And since Rook's not going to be here for most of it, I figured this would make more sense. Although when he gets home, you will know because the dogs will be sure to keep us updated. If you haven't checked out Herknunger, you should. There is other styles of music, Nordic, Slavic. Some of his favorite playlists are actually really good. I don't use those because if he didn't create it, I don't want to really use it, just in case. I don't want to deal with strikes and stuff. So, yeah. But I'm excited to... So, had a really good long conversation with Rook last night about a couple of things that came up and have come up a lot, like in life in general and over a long period of time, not just recently. Oops. But also in my current reading, The Mysteries of the Temple of Set. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and it's words create worlds. This is not a new theory, a new idea. It's just something that is really cool, and I want to talk about it. So words create worlds is a topic today. I want to talk about some prepping things. I've got the itch to, well, actually not even the itch to it. I got the reminder that every year into January is when we go through our hurricane kits and all of our stuff. So I wanted to share some things there. And a really cool new gadget that I have that I don't know why I didn't know existed. Because I like my gadgets, right? I like me gadgets. And honestly, it's something that could be very helpful because the world is not going in a positive motion as a whole when it comes to some things, right? I think we're seeing some interesting changes, but we'll do that. I got a new tarot deck I want to show. I don't know if we're going to do a lot of tarot because it's just me, but I'm excited to share that too. Fun times, y'all. All right, I'm going to let me know. Can you guys hear me okay over the music? Is it annoying? Do you want me to kind of leave it in the background? Turn down just a hair. It's a little bit loud on my end, so I'm going to turn it down. But if it works okay, just yeah. And now, of course, as soon as I say that, it's changing sounds. And let's see if. Okay, good stuff. All right. It might have gotten a little bit quieter too because I wasn't patient enough. So, yeah, here we are. Good morning. This is just me today. I hope it's good enough. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about even civil war down between Texas and the U.S. Like, stuff's crazy. The world has gone mad. And I'm like, I'm not flying the next 2 weeks, thank God. So, who knows what'll happen. So, good morning. How's it going? Got my lime hat on. I'm feeling very limey today. Very limey. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. We've been doing a lot of stuff this morning. Like, it's been busy. And yeah, so how's everybody doing? Demon Civil War, yeah. So, Sad World, the stuff that I've been seeing is mostly related to Texas fighting with the current federal, and then again, all the stuff that's still happening over between Israel and Palestine, and still, like, people kind of forgot Russia and Ukraine are still at each other's throat, right? So none of that stopped. So we'll see. Like, we don't hear much about it during the winter because they're not really able to do much in the winter up there. So, but it's really sad. Really sad. Dragon, have you heard anything other than those three things that seem to be popping up the most for me anyway? Hopefully everybody's doing well. I'll be honest, I have had a very grumpy start to today and end of yesterday. The energy is irritating me. Like, just things in general are irritating me. So, yeah. Yeah, Texas it's all over the border stuff, and basically Texas National Guard is or the Texas Guard, whatever that stuff is, because I don't know it, is getting really pissy and kicking the border patrol off certain areas of land. So they are fighting. Like, the federal border patrol is fighting with state border patrol stuff, state Texas stuff. So that's been something people are concerned about, potential civil war in the U.S., which is interesting because, you know, Texas is special. No offense to anybody who's Texas. And then as far as the World War III, that's the same thing I'm hearing too. And it's just, there's little pieces popping up all over the place. And I'm telling you, it's something. Things are crazy. And yeah, grumpy, I think, yeah. So good. I'm not the only one. Like, we're all kind of being short with each other a little bit. So me and Rook kind of just started working on something else, and it kind of used some mechanical things to balance off a little bit, because I'm not real. I guess grumpy is not even the best word. I'm just kind of irritated, right? I'm just kind of like, ugh. Things are not working well. Like things I'm trying to take care of at the house, not working well. I'm being kind of mean and irritable. So I had to kind of really, really stop and just say, okay, I need to back off and kind of chill out a little bit. What can't be done, can't be done. What can, right? So, yeah. Yeah, and no, please, I'm perfectly fine with anything we want to talk about today. Like I said in the description, I did put the wrong year, so surprise. I'm sure you guys probably noticed that. So I put 2023, but it is 2024. I'm aware. But that's also, I think, just part of the way the energy is going. So the topic today, again, words create worlds, and then whatever you want. But I'm going to kind of push us into talking about some prepping stuff, too, with that, because I think it'll go well together. Yeah? Dragon Answer, anything like super fun? Anything that you, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Anything super fun? Anything that you did that was very meaningful? If you have anything that's related to prepping, if you're going to be here for the whole time, then hold off on that, because I want to pick your brain about some stuff on there. But other than that, yeah. Boom. Oh no. Oh yay. Did I miss that? How did I miss that? Or maybe am I not paying attention again? Maybe yesterday just didn't that didn't exist or something for me. I don't know. Um, yeah. Yeah. Yes, we must have puppy pics. By the way, if you want to, I am in Discord stream live in Two Pawning Pagans. If you would like to hop in and have any types of discussion live today, please feel free to hop in. Or chat's always fine. Chat's always fine. Just remember, if you do, stay muted unless we're actually talking, so that there's not a lot of background noise. But yeah, so I want to go ahead and talk about the first topic and kind of get it out of the way, because I want to get into prepping and talking about that a little bit, because those are some things that are important to me and always have been. Prepping for your animals is really important. So, ooh, Black Brindle, I like it. Welcome, Mystic Manny. Huzzah. It's just me today. Rook is getting his hair cut because this wasn't our normal day to do it. Like, we were doing the first and third. So, yeah. Yes, the Temple of Set. That is really what I want to start with today, because that led me to the rediscovery of the Temple of not Temple of Set, I'm sorry, of Words Create Worlds. And that means that's a pretty heated topic. Like, it's a pretty loaded comment, and it's very important to me. And so I am just going to share real quick. This is I am not a member of the Temple of Set. I will tell you, of all the things that I've been doing, this one is speaking very, very, very clearly to me, for a couple of reasons. And one of them, A Sad World, is going to be kind of related to what you just said, actually. So this is the Mysteries of the Temple of Set. It's my first book that's kind of in the Temple of Set specifically. I've read a lot of things that have kind of engaged or been leading to or talking about, whatchamacallit, Left-Hand Path, Temple of Set. A lot of things have mentioned Set, but nothing has really, been so specific about it that it has really stood out. So as I got into this is where I started. And now I've read other books by Don Webb. Uncle Setnock's Guide to the Left-Hand Path was my first Left-Hand Path book. To date, still my favorite. Still the one that gives me the most feeling of connectivity to the Left-Hand Path. Part of why I talked and pushed into the Left-Hand Path. And came out of the path closet. Now, granted, um, um, left-hand path specifically, I do consider myself more of not on a specific path, but this is one that speaks to me, so I stay on it, right? But anyway, so this is it, left-hand path, Temple of Set, Mysteries of the Temple of Set. And so in here, there's quite a lot of different things that come up, right? Temple of Set, good website. If you want to go into and have any information in it, you can go in here and kind of look at some of the different processes that they do. And learn a little bit more about them and look at some of the resources for the general public, essays and stuff like that. So this is a really cool resource that I wanted to share. It's Kefir.org, which is actually spelled Xeper. And that is a loaded word that has a lot of information in it. And this is Kefir.info is the whole website. So yeah, if you're interested in the Temple of Set and learning a little bit about it, there is an Egyptian base to it, obviously with Set. And then it's very left-hand path directed, and it's very neat. Like, I really enjoy what I read in it. There are certain things that I don't necessarily like, but that's going to be true with everything, right? So that is a Temple of Set. I'm not really going to go through it. That's just a reference if you guys want to kind of look into it. But one of the things that kind of really stood out lately is two things. So share, you guys, at any time. Like I said, if you want to talk about it, you can hop in the stream live, or you can hop in one of the open ones and I'll move you over. I don't think I locked it. I think it's open. I think you can get in there. But I can move you in if I need to, or feel free to put it in the chat, because this is a pretty cool topic to me. But anyway, so the big thing for me has been this words create worlds idea. And I think if you think about it, right, that's not new, right? It's not new. Words have created worlds for eons, but we don't necessarily think of the true details of word. Now we've talked about it. It is, yes. Yeah, y'all, I don't know if y'all know, but I had a black 2020 Supra. I sold it, but yes, this is my Supra model. I'm obsessive over this car, but can I point out, just, I know we're off topic now, but that's okay, ADHD, I'm there with you. This is my first car. Anybody know what that is? It doesn't have the hood bump that it's supposed to have, but I am a car geek. So this was my first car ever. And this is true to life, my dream car, and will always be the favorite car that's ever existed on this planet, before Fast and the Furious was ever a thing. But yes, this is it is actually the Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX 4G63. That is a Mark IV, yes. And then the other one is the one that I just had and sold. I had my Supra and had it for 3 years, and I had my fill with it. So, but anyway, I sold it actually and got the motorcycle. So that's kind of what we did with the money. But yeah, back to Set. Good thing about ADHD is I can get off with you, but I can, no, strike that. We can go off into a different discussion, and I can get back to that discussion very easily. I won't forget. So ADHD is good. Yeah, we're not getting off together. Sorry, just, fun times. So words create worlds. So the thing is, like we've talked about before, we talked about some other specific things that we've done, and when it comes to words, like I think we talked a little bit about runes last week, or even on the Apocrypha show, because really when we talk about words, we think about meanings, but we don't necessarily remember all of the details of how the humans interact with that meaning. And that's a little bit about what Kefir kind of leads to, right? Is that whole, what's all the other human stuff that goes through with that? Sad world, just don't tell Rook, right? Because, I don't think he's watching today. Um, but you just really made me miss my Supra, though, for real. That was a fun car. Wasn't as fun as the old one. The old one's way more fun. Anyway, um, so this idea that there's so much more to the meaning of words, right? And so as you create words or as you speak words, they grow into things, right? They become things. They take on different meanings for different people, and that perception changes. And I think that's one of the things that's been really kind of cool to me about words create worlds. And now when I was reading in the Temple of Set, I got to this section again, and it just started pulling it back up again, into the discussion. The world of what is already created and conditioned around you, but the world that you create of personal choice through your words. And I think that's really important, because when we think about, for example, and I think I use the term because it's the one I know the most about, like this, just winter, right? And when people think of winter, they think of cold, they think of snow, they think of maybe ice. We can do all these words and talk about what you think of when you think of winter. But winter's a thing. It is a time period. It gives you feelings. How do, when you say winter, what is your interaction with it as a whole? If you're somebody that depends on the land to eat, then you're going to that's a hard time, right? If you have food at your fingertips and no food insecurity, that's not going to be difficult. You're going to have a different interaction, and that human interaction with words is critically important. So when you are going in your daily life and doing all these different things around you, the words you say and or think create the world, kind of like in a procedurally generated process, right? It's so how you're responding to things too. And that was kind of like, okay, when people talk about positive self talk, I love myself. I love who I am. I enjoy who I am. Those things create the next part of your world. So when you say them, you're creating something. And it also goes into the discussion about dreams and fantasy, right? So make time. In the Temple of Set, they talk about making time for the real, like what you can, and the real meaning what's physically touchable. And then it also talks about what is fantasy, right? So it is important to make time for fantasy. When you fantasize about things and when you have things in your brain and you create that fantasy world in your brain, that is also creation. When you create with art, those are creating worlds. When you read certain things and they have an effect on you, that's creating worlds. When you listen to somebody talk and it changes how you feel, that's a new world. That's creating the world as we go through it. So do you want to create a world? First of all, that we're in, right? So everything that you're creating is something that you're a part of. And are you going to create that world that feels good? Which to me is a lot about what the left-hand path is about. You're going to create world with your words that feels good to you. And ultimately, when we do that, the other things kind of fall off and aren't as important. I've created my world by saying, hey, Rook, I think we should get another Chihuahua. That's going to determine how much stress I have in the near future, right? I want to just sit and relax today, maybe go outside. That is creating world out of words. Tonight, we're planning on doing a full moon ritual, even though we're a day late. That's fine. We have put up lots of new candles and wall coverings and wall sconces and things that are candles all over the house. We're going to turn everything that makes any noise or uses electricity off. And we're going to light, I would say, probably close to 100 candles in our house. Now, when we use candles, we only use candles that are in a glass jar, right? Or that are in a full glass enclosure to be safe, because we have the animals, right? So most of them are hanging on the wall too. And we're going to allow the more natural illumination to kind of help us figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So we're creating that world by going out and doing those things. Physical concepts, according to many people, they really are good about storytelling, right? That's one of the things that's really fun is storytelling, right? Words create worlds. And we talked about this Friday night. We talked about it in other shows too about, folklore and storytelling and belief systems and processes, and all of those things come down to creating that process and all those things that you do and have that create your world. And it's not just a fantasy thing. And that was, I didn't articulate it very well because I don't like doing interviews. I'm not good at them. As a matter of fact, I am probably going to stop doing them or participating in those styles. But creating that world is so important, and being able to express that. So, when you go in and are thinking about imagination, and people say, well, it's just your imagination, it's not real. Well, what real, and what most people consider real, are things that you can sense. And so I can't personally see the difference between somebody saying, I don't believe God is real, but I do believe that Hecate is real. To me, those things are mutually exclusive. You can't say one is okay and one isn't, right? That's kind of the realness aspect of it. Real is what you think. Real is what you create, because reality includes the universe being mental. And if the universe is mental, then that means your thoughts are real. Your fantasies are real. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to go out and fly into space and we're actually in space. No, different kind of reality. It is an alternate, right? So when I can close my eyes and listen to the right music, or the right mentation, the right binaural beats, that's a big thing for me. I can literally transport. I can see myself pinging between worlds and between planets and all over the place. What you just mentioned, Aaron, that was one of the first things we learned how to do in the OBOD, the Order of Ovates, Bards, Ovates, and Druids, with the Druidic groups, is to have that mental sacred space. I have mine. It's the exact same. Is it a real place that I can touch, like I touch out here in my yard right now? No, I'm not that good. But is it real? Absolutely, it is real. It is a mental creation. It is created. It's almost touchable if I could touch it, right? So let's think about that too. If I create in my mind, I'm going way off topic now, but if I can create in my mind the thought that, and I'll share a little bit of my personal grove. My personal grove is my altar, where I go to when I need to get into that space or meditate. And it's something that's, again, it's big in OBOD, that they tell you have to have your mental grove, or your grove in your head, your sacred space in your head. And mine is a very large open field with a ring of 13 trees. And then it's always completely lit by starlight and full moon. And the central altar is a forever fire that does not burn wood, but it is burning. The wood never burns down. And that's where the altar is. But you can actually set stuff on it, and it kind of sits on top of the fire, but it doesn't burn. But the fire creates heat because it's a cooler area. It's a little crisp. But anyway, so those are kind of the things, right? Is that real? And that's one of the things that I think ties into Kefir from the Temple of Set, and also words creating worlds, because when I describe this place in my mind, I use words in my head. Not everybody does that, right? And which I didn't know. I thought everybody did that. But in my head, when I'm trying to get into that space, I'm like, all right, I'm going to my grove. I see the trees. I see the fire. I see the flames. I see all these things. Those words that I'm using in my head is creating that thing, that reality for me. And it is real. And I get, to me personally, because, there's a lot of things that I do well and there's a lot of things that I don't. But I do get a little frustrated when people try to say that reality is true or not true for other people. It can be true or not true for you. And those things exist. And I think we're going to learn a lot more about that in the near future. I think even in my lifetime, that's going to come into more place. But yeah, Aaron, I love that. I think creating your own sacred space, it is an absolute requirement. Absolute requirement. Alm meditation is also really good. Doing different tones and even different sounds. Sad World is really good at changing your frequency of energy, right? Oh, I forgot what I was going to actually say. Okay. about the reality thing, because and from the words create world. So right as I'm imagining all these things, those things are visual in my head, and the words that I can say out loud or even think, even if I make no sound, right? Those words in my head, that energy is coming from neurons that are firing, which is electricity, right? So it's electrical energy and chemical energy from your neurons, right? Going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of that is coming from adenosine triphosphate, which is our body's fuel, which comes from respirating oxygen in, and from the food that we eat, which comes from animals at some point for some and plants for others. But ultimately, the animals eat plants, so it comes from plants. Those plants, where do they get theirs from? They pull it from the soil, they pull it from the energy and sunlight. So where did the sun get its energy from? That goes too far outside of my realm. So every single thought that happens in my brain is at some point, at least as far back as I can think of it in my head, comes from the sun. So if that isn't God energy, I have trouble thinking of otherwise what it would be, because that sunlight caused photosynthesis in a plant, which was eaten by an animal, or I ate the plant maybe, and then my body alchemizes it into energy, which then is alchemized into my brain, into the thinking about this thing, this fantasy that's in my head. So that fantasy is real. And it is so important to me, of that thought process. And then to read it again, it's been a long time since that's come up in my head. In the Temple of Set, about words creating worlds, it's just like, it makes sense. Makes sense. And yes, I agree, Dragon Dancer, reality doesn't really exist. I think for me, it's easier to say our current definition of reality doesn't match what is the experience of life, and it can't, there's nothing that can conceptualize that. I think that's kind of what Kefir tries to do with the Temple of Set, is kind of capture that interaction of all things with humans and how those things interact together. That's the human condition, because if all humans disappeared, reality would still exist. Or not reality, the world, the things that exist still exist. They always do, they always have, always will. They're there, but everything is just recombined. I mean, think about it. Your thought about your altar and your sacred space in your mind, thinking about that energy is just, that thought is just re-alchemized and reconfigured atoms of energy that came from somewhere else, just constantly going back and forth. That energy that you use to think about your meditation and the sound waves that are in your ears, that energy in your body came from fission, I'm not a scientist, whatever, at some point was in a sun, a star, doing something at some point. That's where it came from. So that to me is enough for me to believe and feel that there is God, something bigger out there, God, goddess, all of it, the whole thing. That's part of why I'm polytheistic, animistic, to a degree. Thank you, Sad World. I said fusion first, so give me that credit, right? But seriously, I mean, everything is that transforming, and I just think that was really cool. So, yeah, words create worlds. Stardust. We are all stardust, yes. Words create worlds. It is important that we have consciousness and that we love, but that we understand there's other things at play, and that, to me, imagination and things that we put in our brain and imagine not only use energy and are connected and real for us. It is a conversion of energy. I mean, the other thing that I think about that I can't answer is it takes energy to make that thought, that thing that's in my head, that thought, that sacred space, to imagine it. The only way I can imagine it is if my brain is using chemical and electrical energy to create that mental image, right? Well, since energy is never created nor destroyed, where does it go after that? Have I just put out friction in the world, or heat, or whatever, as I'm thinking? That's the next level. Where does that stuff go to? And that thought doesn't just generate from a jumble of electricity to me. It comes from a soul place. So anyway, before I go way too far out, the Temple of Set if you're interested, even if you're not, but if you're like Left Hand Path and that's something that you're interested in, or if you are Left Hand Path and you want to read something that kind of gives you some different perspectives, this is a really good book. It really is. The Mysteries of the Temple of Set. I find it extremely interesting. It's just like everything else I read, though. Reading really just informs my practice and kind of gives me different pieces. I don't know that I'm ever going to have a single space to fit into, and I kind of like it that way, to be honest. You know, sad world. I am pretty intelligent when it comes to physics and science, but I'm not super smart about it. But I think that is very important. One thing that I think a lot of us have heard is magic is just science that hasn't been explained yet. And that picture gives us, you have magic here and science here, and then magic becomes science once we know what it is, right? Nah, not true to me. Magic and science are the same thing. It's just humans have to be able to explain things a certain way, and then they use science to not believe something because they haven't figured it out yet. And some things maybe we're not meant to figure out. I don't know. But science definitely has a big part of it for me, and it's interesting that, again, with Temple of Set. This is Don Webb, very intelligent guy. I love his writing style. But the Temple of Set really is a thing out of Michael Aquino. And the amount of intelligence and scientific wherewithal that man had is insane. And if he can use science and still have this belief system that works in this manner, then that gives me hope that there is spaces for us that want to believe both. I want to and feel like there is bigger things out there that we can't explain, but I also really comfortably believe in science. So yeah, just some neat things. But I mean, this is really good reading. So if you have a chance, I think it's like $10 to $12, something like that. I'm going to read the actual volume 1 and volume 2 that go along with it, but I've been reading this for like 2 months. It's just really good. I agree, Sad World. And you know what's funny? I believe as human beings that we can't comprehend some of those big secrets in the creation of our universe. Absolutely agree. I think what's cool about it is I think our soul does. And I think our next level, or not next level, our other level that's attached to us does. I also believe that there's a consciousness that's associated with that. I think that we just aren't allowed to know it in this life, because if we did, it would mess up the experience of this life. But I think in the next one, you will be aware. And I don't even know about ascension so much for me. It's a little bit less about ascension, because I personally don't believe that we're ascending. I just believe that we are transmuting and alchemizing just over and over to experience the world, because the world is finite and infinite at the same time. And totally go off on a tangent on that one. But the thing I don't use ascension too much is because I think people get a little too worried about wanting to be better or higher or ascending. Oh, I want to ascend. I want to this. I want to, no. I love this life. And I know that in past lives I did not love it. So something has changed for me to have the experiences. I am so incredibly blessed in this current life. That I don't want to ascend. I want to take this and go into a new experience. And that, to me, I don't know if there was a word for lateral movement. Like, I want to lateralize, I want to take this and just start my fool's journey again somewhere else. So it's weird. But bad science makes bad religion, yes. If your beliefs are at complete odds with basic science, yeah, absolutely. With the expression too, Dragon Dancer, right, of maybe if it's in complete opposition of problematic, but a little bit of like, okay, let's allow for there to be, maybe not everything has an exact reason or exact answer. And hey, Tabby, good morning. Yeah. So a Sad World past life regression is very interesting. I've done a couple of them. Rephrase. I've participated in a couple of them. So yeah, I've learned a lot. I will say that it's probably um, excuse me, it's probably, I would say, um, I was gonna say I don't necessarily believe in like the dangerousness of it. Like some people's like, oh, you have to have all these certain things in a perfect place. No, I think once you get maybe the really comfortable with your Aum. I don't know how it is. AUIM is how most I've seen it spelled, but that type of meditation, and then you work in through guided meditation. The guided meditation is a really great way to get into past life regression, but it is very much easier if somebody externally is guiding you through that. At least in my experience. So some people make it seem like it's such a terrible and scary thing. It's not. It's just something you have to really experience, and I think it's a great experience. But yeah, yeah. I think just kind of keeping in that topic of words create worlds too. When it's past life regression and you're thinking through and those things are happening, you see the energy in the flat. To me anyway, I saw flashes, I saw visuals, I had feelings, and I had to put those feelings into words, and those words kind of built me into the progression of what I learned in that past life regression, and again learned a lot about myself, a lot about some things that I've experienced. It really helped me understand myself now better and why I do some of the things I do that I sometimes felt guilty about. That's gone because of past life regression. And yeah, I think that's really a really neat thing to do. Very important. And Kelvin, yeah, I love that. Being open-minded about everything, also I think is important. No matter how you look at it, if you're not open-minded, you're never going to allow something in to learn from. You'll be stuck. You'll be stick stuck. But yeah, no, this has been an awesome conversation, because it's kind of how all things tie in, right? Um, there's a discussion in here, and I think I kind of looked through um, the four worlds that Sessions live in, which Setian, I don't know if it's Setians or Sessions, I'm not sure exactly how to say it properly. But the four worlds are the world of the body. This is a big part for me. So recognizing and exercising and maintaining and refining your body. And the expression is better expressing your psyche. And then the world of what's already created and conditioned. This is like the airport. This is your job. This is the one where you find a lot of things that can make you sad or happy. And the goal here, according to Don Webb, is configure things as much as possible to make you happy, right? So if you are financially insecure, then try to do things that make you more financially secure. Do things that are going to set you up to be more happy. If that's not important to you, because I know quite a few people that's not important to, and they're happy living in a van, and they really enjoy that minimalistic lifestyle, then that's the world that you need to work to try to create. But try to figure out what it is you're trying to create first, right? Don't just start throwing darts. Say, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want this. Truly sit down and say, in this world that's around me right now, what's going to make me the happiest? Like for me, that's one of the things Rook and I have been talking a lot together about lately. I love my house and where I live, but there are some things about it that make me upset. And that is certain things that I've allowed to get out of hand because I thought I needed and wanted but didn't. And guess what we're doing? This Virgo Taurus, my big three, is letting go of things. We are throwing stuff away, cleaning stuff out, giving away lots of extra stuff that we don't need. And that is how we are reconfiguring our world to make us more happy. Because once we do that, we continue to refine the world around us to become more happy. The third world that Setians or Sessions live in is the world of personal choice. So this is where your first job is to separate out your daydreaming, but do your daydreaming well. So don't let yourself hold yourself back. Just really go out there and let daydreaming happen. Let fantasy take you all where it needs to go, and do all those things and really make it work for you. And then set aside a time for your fantasies. The most important thing here, and I'm going to go back to Dragon and Mystic too on that. But learn to be awake when you want to be awake, and lost in intense fantasy when you want that. Objectify your fantasies, make them appear in the real world. I think that is one of the most important things I've read. It goes on to say, it doesn't matter if it's sex, travel, gardening, do it. Whatever it is that makes you happy, you do those things and you bring them and build them from your mind, your fantasy, into the real world the way you want them. And so that's a big part of it, right? So the world is already created and conditioned is what's there. You reconfigure it to work for you. And then the world of personal choice, what's in your brain, intensely fantasize, and then make some of those fantasies real. Some of them shouldn't be real. Don't make them real. Let them live in your, or real in this world. Let them live in your head. Let them be growth. I'm doing a couple of those things. There are certain things which I am not allowed, or not, I won't say allowed, but it wouldn't be appropriate for me to share based on somebody else information. But there are things that I have done and created in this world to make things extremely happier and more conducive for me. And those things happen, and they are asynchronous. And it is a huge driving force in my happiness, and it's nice. So you want to do something, you say it, you set it up, find a way, and then it's happening in a way I never thought would happen. And that need is getting fulfilled in a very odd way, but it's pretty cool to do things outside of the box like that, and it is what it is. And then the world of Eon of Set, and so exploring the world of the Eon, because this is all about the becoming in the Eon. It's enhancing the world, and this is the world of all of the things of time over together where we are. So those are the 4 worlds, and there's a 5th and a 6th world, which is, I'm not the master of this, so I don't want to go too deep into it and give wrong information based on what they have. But what it meant to me was, yes, you speak that shit into existence. Dragon Dancer, like where you say you're in your happy place and fix up your nest. I am in my happy place, but it isn't fulfilling all the needs that I have, which is why we've had some offline conversations about that too. But those are the things that I've got to figure out, right? And yes, Mystic Mania, you reconfigured your world just before your move, big necessary, and then your move, that was part of reconfiguring your world. We even noticed from down here a change in how you guys just even looked when we talked to you. Y'all lit up so much better, so differently after you moved, and that is speaking that shit into existence. Both of you guys, y'all have manifested some shit. You and Dante and Dragon Dancer, y'all manifested your shit. It is great. It's intense too, but that's kind of the same idea, and that's very left-hand path, right? I think, and the Temple of Set is something that's really pushing me towards that. Don't know that I'll ever call myself a Setian, session, whatever, or join, but the content is there. And Kelvin, absolutely, I am a happy person too, and I also believe yet I can do better. But I think the one thing that I'm learning now is to stop just saying like I can do better personally. This is me personally. Instead of I can do better, I don't even say I can do better anymore, because that means that I'm not doing my best now. And I think in my life right now, I am doing the best that I can. So I don't want to do better. What I do is starting to do, and I'm starting to learn. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm starting to, is speaking actual things of what I want to do better. Meaning, here's a good example. I am fine with public speaking. It does not incredibly stress me out. I don't love it. I really don't mind it, especially if it's even video chatting with a group of 100 nurses and physicians. I can do that, no problem. But in person, I have a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-confidence issues. I've been asked to do a semi-academic discussion with a group of nurse practitioners here in Florida, and I am torn whether I should do it. It is, do I say no because I don't want to, and that's what the left-hand path says, you do what you want to? Or is this one of those opportunities to grow and say, you know what, I can do it, I'm good at it, it's going to be beneficial, so I'm going to make myself do it despite being uncomfortable. And so instead of just me feeling like I can do better, my difference in my verbiage for myself, this is just again talking about me, is to say I am going to ask myself, what do I want to do, that how do I want to do, and what do I want to do, instead of just kind of figuring out. It's the same conversation we talked about, who am I? It's not really who am I. It's like, who am I? Well, I'm Brian. I'm a this, I'm a that. I'm a nurse. I'm Pagan. I'm on the left-hand path. Those are all descriptors of things, not people. So I'm trying to change my internal dialogue to, who am I? I'm an experiencer. Like, I am an adventurer in this world. I am going and trying to figure things out and make things move and pull things up. So there is a lot to be said about speaking things into existence, for sure. Law of attraction, I completely agree on that too. No, I don't know what they're barking at. He's not back yet. Psst. She heard something. They do that though without any reason. But yeah, so I mean that's a big piece of it, right? Law of attraction for sure. And I think a lot of it is recognizing, even like Calvin, like, even though you don't feel like it, is recognizing we got to stop feeling that way. We got to stop feeling like we're not enough and not doing enough, and just like, hey, not only am I enough, I am I am so far beyond enough in being who I am. Nothing else should matter, right? That's a hard topic, a hard pill. But remember that we do create the world through our words and actions and the thoughts that we have, and that there is so much more connection to everything that we do, that it's important that we give ourselves a break and that we do the best that we can, but be what we can be as best we can when we can. You know what I mean? If my best today is that I can't function like I normally do, then that's my best for today. To do better, I recognize that and say, like, how can I change something, or how can I manifest something out of my world? Dragon Dancer, that is probably the best comment I have seen in a long time that makes the most sense. You do absolutely learn to treat yourself like a product. You are described as a product. You are the culmination of what your potential addition to society is, right? It's not even, there's so much more. There's so much more. We treat ourselves like a product. I treat myself like, seriously, I think about my work. I'm like, if I don't work until midnight some nights, I'm like, who am I? Why? They just, I will literally say, my job deserves me to work hard because they pay me well. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. I have given a lot of energy and time to this. Maybe, just maybe, I deserved, and I'm being compensated for doing what needs to be done, and trying to find that balance, because the job's not the problem. Me is the problem. Me, right? But yes, that's a really great way to put it. Feeling like a product, or being a product, truly. Yep. Just have to be. And I think not the bigger, that's the wrong way to say it, but I think another aspect of this is, we just have to be, we can strive to do things that align us better with what we desire. That is another way of saying to do better, right? I am going to strive to do things in my life that are going to make my life better, which may also benefit those around me. That's a very left-hand pathian do better. What do I need to do in my world that is going to align it better with the things that I want to do, that make me happy, that make life valuable for me? And really be honest about what it is to do that. And it's not saying you can't compromise with other people to do things, right? But just understanding that and allowing that to exist, I think, is really cool. So I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about some prepping stuff. So, but before I do, since it's just me talking over here, and I feel like I'm, just going like crazy. Any other words of wisdom for anybody? Responsibility to the responsible. Absolutely. Love it. Yes, prepping. I'm excited. So, Sad World, yeah. So, to me, realistic, vivid dreams are often an aspect of um, something that you're desiring or wanting to do, and you're just not really allowing yourself to do it, or you're holding yourself back. When I have very realistic dreams, which is not very common, but vivid, I should say, not necessarily realistic, but very vivid dreams, it's always something that's been on my mind, and it's usually something I've been ignoring or pushing away. And so, if it is, for example, if it is you're astral traveling and flying through worlds and seeing things that you've never seen before, then it's telling you to open up your mind and pay attention and let things be fantastical for a minute and allow things to grow. That's a common problem for earth-based people like myself. Being a Virgo adds to my inability sometimes to let myself fantasize or go out or bubble up. So I'm not a dream reader person, but I do know my personal experience with dreams, and talking to people really has been when they're super vivid, you are making stuff. You are. It's not just a dream; it's telling you something. Like it's telling you to do something, like to focus, especially if it repeats itself. Like I've even talked to a couple people that have really terrible dreams, and it repeats itself, and it's actually a good omen to doing something positive. The terror is the letting go part. What is your sign, Sad World? I am definitely Earth. Like I have my big three are all Earth, and so that's. And somebody said it the other day, and I just didn't think about what was the big three, right? When they were talking about the big three, which is your sun, your moon, and your rising. And so Libra is a cardinal air sign, right? So true air, and cardinal meaning it's solid direction. So if you want to describe somebody who's an air sign, you would be a very good descriptor of that. These are very knowledge-based people, usually overthinkers, science. Huge to me. Air is almost always a big sciencey person. We already talked about that, science and physics. It's knowledge base. Unfortunately, sometimes air can get so big it kind of floats away and needs somebody to kind of clamber it back down. You know. I remember you talking about trying to figure out what your top three were. I don't want you to give any personal information out here, but I can either show you where to go to get it, or you can give it to me and I can do your ephemeral chart and kind of tell you, because I can do a natal chart for you. I still owe Dragon Dancer one. It's half done. Yeah. I mean, it's the accuracy. Obviously, like we can make any sign really fit aspects and things, but we all have those moments. Now Rook is back, by the way. Well, you never know what people can use for your stuff too. You know, it's. Well, I mean, it's your exact birth date, birth time, year, that kind of stuff. And to me, I don't necessarily like putting that stuff out there because people get really weird. But we can do it afterwards if you want. It's easy. But yeah, so it's gonna get loud here for a minute because the Rook is back somewhere. I don't know if he's gonna hop on. Probably not. I'll ask him though when he gets here. But yeah, so I'm going to transfer over here because I want to show you. Well, no, before I even do that, super cool thing. Does anybody know what this is? There he goes. So it's a little plastic thing. It has a box. Like that's an Apple box. It's a USB. You can plug it in USB, but it's a box. And this little teeny metal or plastic thing with a metal doohickey in it, it goes in water. They're so loud. Sorry. It goes in water. You can put it in 100 mils at a time. You put it in water, and you mix salt in with it. So a teaspoon-ish of salt per 100 mLs. You mix it up, and then you put this in it. If that gives anybody any... I love science too, by the way, Saddle. This is a very sciencey thing. And it is kind of related to prepping. Anybody know what that is? Costs $12 on Amazon. And I used it today for the first time. And it is so cool. But what do you think? Any ideas? It's not a filter. Nope. It is so neat. Like, I didn't even know they existed. Not a scent pod. You're good. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. I don't think anybody's gonna get it, just because this could be any of those things, right? Mr. Run in the Shadows, you are definitely the closest at this point. It is an ionizer. Do you know what it puts out? What it ionizes salt and water. Think sodium chloride. Chlorinator. Yep. It makes hypochloric acid. So you put 100 mils and a teaspoon of salt. You put this in for 10 minutes and it makes bleach water. Basically. There's a little more to it than that. And I did not think it was going to work. I'll be honest. It's $12 on Amazon. I'm like, you know what? Right now, the only cleaning that we use is, I wish gas, right? Is vinegar, acetic acid, and water. That's what we use to clean our whole house. It does a great job. But we wanted, $12 freaking dollars. There's bigger ones that are more, but we wanted a way to maybe make some sanitizing solution if we can't get to the store, and all the cleaning stuff was sold out. So I bought this, I put it in this morning, and man, it was strong. We made freaking bleach water. And I can't even begin to tell you, I was so excited. I buy stuff like this all the time, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna pull it up and share it with you, so you can see the exact item. It's tiny, and I just am shocked that it actually worked. Okay, I lied. It's $13, $13.59. But let me share my screen with you real quick. But yeah, this is it. It makes the sodium hypochlorite. It can do, in 10 minutes, it makes 100 mils, which isn't a lot. It's a half cup-ish. And yeah, so I really just didn't think it would work. It is solid. The cord is really thick. And you know what I love? It doesn't draw too much. It can run off of this little so this is another thing that I recommend people getting. This is a little solar battery pack, right? And it does a pretty good job. But it'll run off of this. So if we lose power and the world goes back into the mad cow disease, which is killing deer, the deer zombie disease that's, they think is going to jump to humans at some point. That's a whole nother topic. I now can make my own sanitizing solution that's practically safe to drink if we need to, right? It came out of, I have a solar chlorinator, right? It's this little box. They used to sell it, now they don't make it anymore. And you put salt in it and water, and it makes concentrated chlorine. And you can put it in water to kind of do it. But yeah, isn't that something? So if you have 13 exposable dollars, all we need to do now, we bought a little spray bottle. So now we have our acetic acid for basically degreasing. And we'll do that. And then this to make our sanitizer. It's insane. So highly recommend that. If you can spare the $13, you can always make your stuff. And it is bleach. As soon as you put it in there, you smell it. It's this is actual bleach. Sodium hypochlorite, technically. And sodium hypochlorite, by the way, is a pretty good wound cleanser if you get an infected wound. Yeah. So, yeah. I know, sad world, if we had the end of the world bingo, we're pretty much having a blackout right now. So, yeah, the CWD it's very concerning to a lot of people. There's some concern that it's going to jump to humans. That's kind of scary. And that's, what really reminded me of prepping is every January we go through all of our hurricane prep and all this stuff for that. But there are more expensive ones of this. There's a $40 one that's bigger, does more. And then there is one that's like $100, which makes like a whole picture of it. It's a real big one. And I'm like, I don't need all that. So I got two of these. One for now to use, and then one as a backup. And it's in my to-go bag. What do you call it? My go bag. I'll post it in there, and it's probably better to post in Discord. So I'm going to put it in the Pagan Circle gathering too, so it's in there for you guys. If it'll actually show. Yep. Okay. There it goes. So, literally, tiny little thing. I just put it in the water, and in 10 minutes, we were using bleach water. It functions like bleach. It whitened the floor grout because, we had tile floor. So excited. The other thing that we do is, so our hurricane kit is like food that lasts a year or two because we rotate. But our survival kit, like our long-term bug-out prepping survival kit, is freeze-dried because it can last up to 25 years. It's more long-term storage. It does use a lot of water and take a lot of water, which is why we actually have, whatchamacallit? This generator, this little hypochlorite generator, because if we have to clean water and we don't really have ways to do it, in a certain point we're going to need a lot of water. Our pool would be our main source, right? But yeah, so that's the thing. And then, so the second thing that we do, so this is $28. These things range from $25 to $40, and sometimes a little more. But I do highly recommend them for those of us who aren't able to can and store stuff ourselves, or even for those that can. Every paycheck, we spend about $30 to $40 and buy a can. This is corn. We have beef, dehydrated beef. It's freeze-dried beef. We have breakfast scramble. We have chicken, and now we have corn. So this is usually about 20 servings. And this is a group one that we get at the NutriStore because it's a small business, and it's a 25-year shelf life. So, yeah. So this is one of the things that we do. So periodically we go and do it. Like we have tomato powder. Sounds gross, but you're probably not going to care if you have no food. We also did a can of powdered milk, which I'm not a big fan of milk, but enriched milk and vitamin D might be very important should we run into some problems. And food gets scarce. The other thing that you want to be careful of is you want to make sure that you have food for your animals in the event that something happens, right? So we rotate our dog food until we have a backup. So I have basically 4 extra bags of VG's food, and same with our Chihuahuas. We always have some backup. But anyway, like I said, you can get, these are all $28 a piece, 20 servings, green peas. They last 25 years. You get a can of this, set it in the back. And should the world come to an end, or we end up getting really out of food, you will be able to have something that you can make. And this stuff isn't that bad. It's not fresh, amazing, but it tastes pretty good. The third thing I wanted to point out, and then I do want to talk more about the deer and CWD. I'm going to Google a couple things too. But the other thing I wanted to point out on this team is a Jace. Now, you can get... you can get like fish antibiotics for relatively inexpensive, like at chewy.com, or from your fish store. You can get a couple of different independent pieces, right? So that is something to be very considerate about as far as antibiotics. But there is a new process out, and it's a little bit expensive. I have not done this yet, but I am thinking about it. I need to save up a little bit. But it's called the Jace case. And so Jace case, you actually talk to a physician, and the physician writes you a prescription for these emergency medications. So the base emergency medications is $280, $270, and it's 5 antibiotics. And there are 5 broad spectrum antibiotics. Very important, very neat, like very, very nice that you can do this, and it comes in a way like it's what do you call it? Packaged that it lasts a really long time. It's not normal packaging. Or the Max case, which has the antibiotics and popular medications. This includes things like diuretics, anti-malarials, anti-nausea medicines, antiemetics, all kinds of different things. Now, I don't have $1,200 to spend on this, but I do like the idea that this is a legal way to talk to a physician and pharmacist and get these medications for an emergency situation. And I love how they're packaged. So I wanted to share this with you guys in case this is something you're interested in or want to work up towards. The $280 one has 28 tablets of Augmentin, which I'm allergic to. 6 tablets of azithromycin, which if you have bronchitis and you've had it over time and you get pneumonia and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, that Z-Pack could save your life. That's a Z-Pack, by the way. Cipro, which is just a broad spectrum antibiotic. You would never take 28 days of Cipro, 500 milligrams. You would probably take it once or twice a day for 5 to 7 days. Doxycycline, 120 tabs. That's usually twice a day, but that's enough for like 3 or 4 treatments. And then metronidazole, which is really a little bit more about fungal type things and Clostridium difficile infections. But really cool. And then this one here, like I said, we can't afford it, but it has Tylenol, acetazolamide, which is for altitude sickness or if you have glaucoma, celecoxib, which is pain management, Cipro eye drops, dexamethasone, very, very, very important. Benadryl, Pepcid, a lot of these stuff are over the counter, but some of it's not, like ivermectin. Dexamethasone is usually not over the counter. Ofloxacin eye drops for conjunctivitis. Ondansetron, which is an antiemetic. Oseltamivir, which is Tamiflu, if you get the flu. And it's a 10-pack, so that's 2 treatments. Scopolamine for motion sickness or if somebody's dying, right? Silver sulfazide is a topical antibiotic usually used if you burn yourself. And triamcinolone is really for like skin rashes and stuff. So you can actually, you talk to a doctor and you can get these for an emergency pack. And like I said, they are packaged differently so that they last like 5 to 10 years instead of the normal 1 to 2 years. By the way, just for the record, if you are concerned about prepping and this kind of stuff, Tylenol, I learned recently, is generally good well past up to a decade past its expiration date, unlike ibuprofen and other things, which really just lose their efficacy. But anyway, wanted to share that because I thought that was super cool. Yeah, it is insanely wild. I really thought like... yeah, I mean, that's really important, right? Like those are the things that are going to get you down when we don't have access to antibiotics. Look, let's be honest, even if World War III does happen, come here, Finn, come say hi. Even if World War III does happen, which it probably will, kind of already is, and things get really scarce, the likelihood of needing this is pretty low. But, you my Finny. But, we have, I like to be prepared. It just makes me nervous. A Rook, we have to save up to get this. I really do want to do this. We do have fish antibiotics too, though, which I will say, if you have fish antibiotics, I cannot tell you that they're appropriate to use in humans. But the formulas are almost always the same. Sometimes they're not, so just be careful. I will not and cannot condone that kind of usage and don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Just for the record, I don't recommend it. But pay attention to how it's made. Yeah. But this is something that like most people are gonna have to save up for because that's a lot of money. But some of those medications are pretty intense. But yeah, so is that. And like I said, these, if you don't have a lot of money and you are somebody that wants to prepare, you can get just 1 can of these at a time, $20-$30. And then this thing, I can't tell you how important sanitization is to survival. And you can buy 2 of these for less than $30 and throw them in whatchamacallit. I don't know what Copham is. Let's go to Google. And we're going to look up zombie deer disease because that's what was coming up. Yeah. It's Jace Case. And I actually, just for the record, I'm going to put it in here and I'll put it in Discord so that it's saved. This is something that I learned from. Let me see if it's still up here. I might have closed it. Maybe I did close it. Y'all can see the kind of stuff that I watch when I'm not on screen, right? Sanctuary Satanica, because I like to look at people we talk to. I love that her conversation. Both of the last two people we had on Apocrypha have been awesome. The other video I'm watching right now, the 3 horrible stages of syphilis. Man does the unthinkable before taking. Here it is. Okay, so this guy, you only have 2 days to prepare is the name of this video, and this is Praxis Homesteading and Survival. There's a lot of things I don't like about some of the personal things that they do, but this dude is the most practical prepping person that I think I've ever encountered. Practical is the critical piece there, right? So that's one of the things I want to point out. And this particular video is where I got a lot of these links. And the sanitizing thing, that's how I even thought to look it up. You only have 2 days to prepare. Praxis Homesteading and Survival Skills. Check it out. I do highly recommend watching him. And what this particular video is like, okay, there's 48 hours left. What do you do when all the things are selling out? And he's got some really, really great ideas. But just remember it's specific to that 48-day time right now. Over the entire year, I spread it out slowly. You buy a machete from Walmart for $20. Yes, you can get a 17-inch machete at the store. Slowly get things together. Sad World, that is probably everybody in this chat room wants to do that at some point. That is my life goal, to be honest. What I'm really interested in learning from, I know Dragon Dancer does a lot of stuff that is way more homesteading based than me. I am really excited to learn more from her when she starts getting some of that stuff up on YouTube, because I think that's the next step. So think about all the different people that we would have and that we can connect together on to manage this. This is not going to happen alone. It won't. People are going to have to work together and share stuff to do it. So yeah, you should check out Praxis Homesteading and Survival Skills. I will post this last link in there too. This is all in the Pagan Circle gathering for you guys, so that you can find some of this stuff. But yeah. So super cool there. Is a dream of mine too. I mean, Dragon Dancer is making that dream come true for herself right now up in Wisconsin. That is still a big part of what our plan is. We have to make things work down here periodically or temporarily, but our goal really is to move this into having homestead area. We just don't know what it's going to look like. So yeah, I mean that's a big piece. And anytime Dragon Dancer will be more than happy to. So we're gonna circle this out. I'm gonna share with you real quick my tarot cards. We're not gonna do tarot today. I just wanted to share them with you, this deck with you because it's so pretty. It's the Antique Anatomy Tarot. And I'll be honest, the reason I'm not doing tarot today is because I've spent so much time away from my decks. I need to do some work with them, and tonight with the ritual and stuff we're doing tonight is going to be a part of me getting some of that back, because I'm not feeling good about reading at the moment. I need to get back into it. This happens to me, cycles. It is what it is. But I need to get kind of reacquainted and kind of get my settings back together. But this is just... I'm telling you, gorgeous, gorgeous tarot. That's the back of one of the cards. And this is the suit of elixirs, the 6 of elixirs. Look at that. Just too cool. And her own witch. Hi, hey, welcome. We are going to go to Cava today at some point in downtown Cape Coral on Miramar. If anybody wants to go, I'll have these with me. But yeah, so let me get a couple more of these decks, like of these images. Like this is the sun. Yep. All right, Manny. Always a pleasure. I am so glad you stopped in. Look forward to seeing you again soon. The Chariot. It's just very neat cards. It's so different. Bye. Um, so yeah, now that that's out of the way, we're going to be ending here just in a moment. But before we do, let's do this CWD talk. Since that came up, I wanna kind of point it out. So it's the chronic wasting disease. It's an infectious condition that infects deer, elk, reindeer, and moose. Contact with feces, saliva, blood, or urine of infected animals, or through soil, food, or water contaminated. That's what's scary, and that's one of the things about sanitization, right? That we were talking about earlier. That's why some of that's important. So, no human cases have been yet reported, but similar diseases have. It's an infectious protein called prion. So this is what's really interesting. So I'm going to turn the music off real quick. This is what's really interesting about this and the science of this. So prions are like improperly folded proteins. They're not virus. They're not bacteria. They're not fungus. They're not parasite. It's its own thing. But prion is the first infectious protein. And it is insane because once this protein gets in your body, it doesn't do anything, but it causes other proteins to misfold, and we don't even understand how. So it is something that causes infectious disease, spreadable infectious contagious disease, without a virus, like true pathogen. Like it's not a virus. We don't even think it's really alive because proteins are they alive? No, they're foldings of different things, different proteins, or different amino acids, I should say. So when a prion comes in contact with your brain or your body, it somehow, we don't know the mechanism, makes other proteins start unfolding, and that causes this disease. So this is chronic wasting disease in deer, elk, reindeer, and moose. Now in humans, you have mad cow disease, which is a prion disease. It's Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, and it's very nerve-wracking, and it's very concerning. So we're not sure. Like it's a newer thing. The proteins are contained in the brain of the deer, but also in peripheral nerves of muscles, which means cooking the meat makes it worse. And it's possible that it will spill into other animal populations because it's already kind of doing that. And theoretically, it's possible for humans to get it by eating meat processed and contaminated equipment and stuff. So right now, the protein that's unfolded or misfolded doesn't affect us because it doesn't match another protein that can unfold. But it could, and it has. People will get really weirded out with COVID and how COVID might have jumped from bats or where it doesn't matter. Many diseases start that way. They misfold or they adapt. The pathogens adapt over time and cause illness. So yeah, just scary thing. A reminder of the need for sanitization and cleaning. But interestingly, how cooking this makes it worse, right? Because it's a protein. Now, proteins do denature, but it is very concerning that it makes it worse in this particular case. Like if you eat meat of an infected cow, you get mad cow disease in humans, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease. In the case of CWD, they're in the muscles though, like in cows. I don't know if you have to eat that specific tissue, but it's just scary. It's scary that a simple protein can kill you. And I don't think anybody has like recovered from mad cow disease. So if this does jump, it's very scary to me. So that's the zombie deer disease. And what's really frustrating is the testing of deer, saying it's too much government overreach. Like there's a lot of things that government overreaches in. Helping to test from a disease is not one of them. demanding what you have to do can be. I might agree with that a little bit, but not the testing. That is so scary. Yeah, it's that is just terrifying to me. It makes me so nervous. Um, the mad cow disease. Yeah, that is terrifying. The wasp that injects prey, a toxin that causes the dead prey to essentially reanimate. Yeah, that's the is it the tarantula wasp? Like, if you're afraid of spiders enough, there's a wasp that kills tarantulas and lays its babies and it reanimates it. There's a fungus that can grow in ants and make ants' brains control an ant. It can control the ant and make it do things. The ant technically dies, but the brain is being used by the fungus to do things. Talk about The Last of Us, right? It can be terrifying. But we came from nature and we will go right on back. So crazy. Which, by the way, this is the last thing I'm going to speak because it just reminded me of something else. There is a story. I like to watch Mr. Ballin on YouTube and Spotify, Mr. Ballin podcast. Strange, all kinds of different stories and stuff. And we know bee venom can be very important, and honey and venom, and it has lots of things that can happen. There was this girl who was allergic to bees. Just know that. Well, she has this debilitating disease. It takes years for people to figure it out. And she is basically resigned to dying. You might have heard this one on his Medical Mysteries one, because I've listened to hundreds of them. So she's resigned to dying, right? She's like, "Hey, I'm going to die. I'm gonna go out somewhere and be good. I'm so glad. The Strange, Dark, and Mysterious is like, I love it. Absolutely do. So this one story, he talks about it. So you might have heard it on his newer one, the Medical Mysteries one. And so she's going out, like she's in this like really serene place, and she goes outside. She can barely move. She ends up having Lyme disease. And yeah, oh my God, I've heard it before, but I heard it again the other day. I'm like, holy shit. She gets stung by like a swarm of bees, excruciating pain, just swarm of bees. Kind of mad that her caregiver kind of just left her, but I guess what do you do? And so she just waits to die basically. And you know what? She didn't have the allergic reaction, probably because her system was so incredibly overwhelmed by all the stings, and it healed her. Like it healed her Lyme disease. And it's like, there's so much more we don't know about how amazing our bodies are. So when I see things like this, like the prion diseases or all these other diseases, I blame us for that, because our bodies are designed, I think, to make sure that those things don't ever really cross. But there's a whole story with that. But anyway, I thought I'd share that because it kind of goes on the same vein, since we are way off whatever topic that we originally started with, which is how I like it. But yes, if you have not seen the storytelling of Mr. Ballin, you probably should. It's really great. I like watching him on YouTube because he does a lot of hand talking, constant hand talking. Like, it's hilarious. But his Spotify, I don't like the Spotify one as much because he's a little bit more robotic, I think, because it's kind of like a created one. But anyway, guys, that is all I have for today. But before we go, this has been a really good conversation. It's weird not having Rook on board and part of the discussion, but I do know he's home, and I'm going to go out and do stuff. And yeah, gonna probably ride some motorcycles. We're gonna go to Kava, so if you're local, running the shadows, we'll be at the Kava bar at some point today, I'm sure. And anybody else, obviously, everybody's welcome. We love to do that. So yeah, it's always weird to me at the end of a show. I don't want to be like just, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I'm calling them out, where it's just like, hey, sorry, we're done, bye. But it's always weird kind of closing out. So yeah, glad you enjoyed it, Sad World. The whole design was really to just have this kind of conversation. It's much better with Rook here to kind of have things go off of. But that is what the point is, just talking about shit, doing stuff, and conversations a little bit about what's going on in life along with some pagan stuff, and just in doing what we do. I love it. It is so meaningful to me to be here and having this conversation with everybody. So thank you for stopping in. And I look forward to next week. We are going to do next week because we'll get back on our regular schedule finally next week, which is the first and third Sundays of every month. So thank you. Bye. See how long I can hold still here.